I'll have to say, Bethany, when this first happened, which it terrified me to have my daughter out doing that. As I do. My husband's family is from Red Mountain, and it was her zone. She's like, I'm going to Red Mountain. We're going to find these people, and she had side by sides. She did. And she did. She went out there. What was no, we're just talking right now. Come in here a minute. What was the road in Rhine Mountain? No, sit here. Not with me a minute. I don't have to look up in the air. When you went to Red Mountain, what was the roads that we first went on the side by sides in the beginning?
Well, me and Nick went up to Shell Creek.
And how bad was it?
It was awful. It was awful. If it wasn't for those people.
Somebody out there, we tricked her. No, you can't leave now.
I'll talk right here.
No, it's a podcast.
No, but if it wasn't for the people in that neighborhood, you wouldn't have been able to still drive roads because no one's been up there.
Yeah.
As of like 2 weeks ago, I know.
What, the top of Shell Creek?
Yeah.
Is it still that terrible?
It's the way they fixed it.
Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about. Is that the roads aren't getting fixed quick.
No,
it's not.
No,
Mm-mm.
They're doing the main roads, and I know people are trying. It ain't the people out there working on it, but it's the people that send them out there. They need to get out there in these communities and see what the problem is, because you got elderly people. Yeah. There's a 90-year-old lady that lives there with her dog, and she refused to leave.
Yeah,
I don't blame her, right. But she needs to be able to get in and out. So.
Well, and some needed insulin, some needed, generators because of the oxygen, or there's certain other medical machines. I know that one Duck Branch, and she had been there all that time taking care of 4 grandchildren. Well, one of them she also cares for, it's under 20 special needs, and a family member was gone, so she was there alone when it first happened. And now I just learned behind the house, her house, the camper that a family was in, and because of the mudslide, it's about took it out, but luckily an outbuilding stopped it. So I have a camper tomorrow going up that way.
I was going to ask you about her because
really?
Because
that's one of the campers.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we're going to get her a camper, and her name's Angie.
Yeah, because I was trying to communicate with somebody. I was like, Miss Angie, TLC, Miss Angie. Miss Angie.
I was so confused. I'm like, Angie, I talk to myself. I do talk to myself.
I'm glad that she's.
But we're going to get her a camper too. And then
you're like my sister-in-law or whatever, like they thought, the water didn't affect her house. I mean, it didn't look like it got in.
Yeah.
But where they didn't have central air or like the vents in the floor or whatever.
Yeah.
The water didn't make it up like in their house, but it came up. It rose 4 feet on their back wall. And here they are out helping everybody else, thinking, it's just our yard, our buildings, and now they're going to have to rip everything out.
Oh, no.
They got denied, and they did get some help, I think, through insurance, but they're going to have to take out all their floors, possibly their cabinets.
Oh my God.
All the siding, all the insulation. It's
that's the other thing. I know, like those initial days, there's all these people trying to help, but a lot of us didn't even know the damage yet, to our own homes or other people's homes, had no idea.
First it was, are you alive?
Yes.
And are you okay?
Yeah.
Do you have what you need to stay alive?
Survive.
Is your first thing.
And now I think that there's so many of us, we have a home repair too that we're working on, where that money is affecting people's lives like it does. And so it's really hard right now because the need, I remember me and my husband were talking, has the need gone down or has it gone up?
I think it's gone up.
It's just changed.
It's a different type of need. Now it's not about, here's the problem though. The need has gone up because you're talking building supplies.
Yeah.
We're not talking about food.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what I also seen happen, and it concerns me not just here, but all the places where the floods happen. When something first happens, everybody wants, what can I do? What can I do? And I've seen that for 25 years because it's just like being a new nonprofit.
Yeah.
As a new nonprofit, people see you and they're like, oh, there's this great new nonprofit. And everybody wants to come in and do. That's kind of the example. At the end, as you get old, you're kind of like old news.
Yeah.
So it's not as important.
Yeah.
And there's new ones that come along. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just life and how it works. But then that's what I'm afraid is going to happen to this.
Yes.
The flood is going to become old news.
Yeah.
I've already seen
And
a
it
few
kinda
times on
already
WJHL
has.
people commenting and going, "This is old news. Will you quit
Yeah.
talking about it?" And I'm
Mhm.
thinking,
How did you quit talking about it?
this isn't, not that the reporters say that, but people
No,
in their
yeah.
comments, to where it's not old, it's a different type.
Yeah.
So everybody started giving supplies and all these shelters was there. Then there was all the drama that went around because, FEMA's taking over, some said it wasn't FEMA, then the Red Cross, all these different things that went on. But to say the least, now we're to the point people's tired. They've
Mhm.
learned it's hard. I'm not going to lie. 25 years of nonprofit, we can already tell you. Vetting people, it's hard. You're always going to have somebody who takes advantage, but you do your very, very best, and that's all God expects. Do your very best. But then you're having to man hours longer. Have we all done that? Oh, yeah. To where some of those shelters are saying, we've got to get back to our normal routine now. So people starting to get rid of their supplies. And I'm like, guys, everything that was given out in the beginning, other than a sleeping bag, are going to be things that you're going to need more of. Sleeping bags and maybe
Yeah.
a blanket. Can you think of anything else? You're going to need more food. You're going to need more.
We don't ever have a lot of pillows. Pillows are great too.
Yeah, pillows are a good one. But like things that people did give out are things that's going to run out.
Yeah.
Food, laundry detergent,
Toothpaste.
but all of the
Simple things,
hygienes, propane. These are
Oh,
all
yeah.
things that we're going to
Yes.
come. It's going to come back around, and there's going to be a rush for it again.
Yeah.
You watch and see, there will be.
Yeah.
And a lot of these other places have shut down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't turn away supplies. People say, "Do you need them?" The only thing I will turn away is adult diapers.
You gotta know.
Because I don't really have the clientele that's asking for that. So we have found homes for it.
Well,
But I
most
do
of them,
have
through their insurance,
volunteers.
They'll have it sent to their house now that the roads are
Yeah.
decent enough to get it to them.
I always
So
say,
they're
I don't
good.
need them. I already have volunteers I can depend on. No, really. Seriously. You were that. Remember back in the day? She was a little kid and was playing in some of those. And I was like, I can depend on you, child.
One of those foam pits, you know.
Yeah. So it's but I will say that concerns me that it's going to come a time that, especially in this winter and cold and after Christmas and finances for other people is going to be different, that we're going to be needing more resources that people's already kind of shut out of their area or got rid of out of their area.
Yeah.
So we want to be prepared for that. But we're also in a time that we're needing insulation. I never knew the difference of R13, R19. What inch do we want it in a roll, or do you want it bagged? Or the worst thing is, I got to say it very carefully, OSB flooring. I told one of the Christian organizations I work with, I'll let your imagination just tell you what I called the flooring. And I just outed it. It's like, you got any of that flooring? And he was like, Angie.
Jerry.
I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I did not call it that. And he said, obviously construction is not your thing. And I was like, no, but before it's over, we're learning construction.
Yeah.
But we need the flooring. Drywall.
Yeah.
And
And that's
laughing,
I'm just thinking about building stuff.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot in the past year.
Yeah, no,
Lord,
luckily
maybe
she
he's
had
prepared
just
me.
bought.
Yeah.
She had just
No.
built our house. Her and her husband built it. Literally, were building it themselves.
We just moved in, I guess, a month before
Not
the
even a
flood.
month. I don't
So it was like good because I was like,
Yeah.
oh God, being displaced myself and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I kind of feel guilty.
She was with her
you
mother-in-law.
know?
and
'Cause
moved
I was like,
in,
Yeah.
but you learned a whole lot of skills during that time frame that
well,
you
from
didn't
my
know.
husband.
Yeah.
He's my
From your
partner.
husband. he can build anything,
He
and
can
that's
do
great.
anything.
And so now we're to that difference.
Well, and I think
group
that
of
for
needs.
me, like personally, I don't know anything about construction things, so I don't even know how to help with the construction things. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening is that people knew to send food, to send canned goods, but when it comes to donating
Stuff like
supplies, like I don't know. I don't know what it is. And so what do you recommend? Like, how do we find people who do know? Like, Curtis.
Support the nonprofits that are helping so that, like right now, Curtis, like we called and bought flooring at Lowe's. We went and bought carpet and things at Winchester's Flooring. He calls. He does the measurements. He does the house. We just bought cabinets at Big John's.
Okay.
You know, so the money that people are sending for the flood, now it's earmarked flood. Anything that is earmarked for either campers for the flood victims or flood relief money, that's totally what it goes to. We have a separate, once it's given to us, it goes into a whole separate account for
Right.
that. And then we can get it. Don't send stuff that you don't know that, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want someone to do a whole truckload of insulation because I don't have a place to put insulation right now.
Yeah.
And you can't get wet. You got to be careful with it. So we're not being wasteful on the supplies. We only
Right.
get what's needed, and we get tax exempt
Yeah.
as a nonprofit
Oh,
too.
nice.
So
So really, the best way to help with building supplies is to donate
that
to
is
you.
it, because it's
Yeah.
going to be different per every house.
Every house needs
and
something
then they're
different.
picking, you know, colors. And you know, another thing I think is good. It does at least give those flood victims an opportunity. Let's take you down there and you pick out your flooring.
Yeah.
Or pick out, you know, this little older couple still wanted carpet in their bedroom.
Yeah.
Or what color they want their paint. You know,
Yeah.
let them have a part of it.
Well, because I've been worried about that too, just with other things, because it's like people, I know how I would be, and it would be like, thank you for anything, right? Even though it might not be the right fit for them.
They're
or
very
like-
grateful. They're
so
not complaining.
gracious,
It
right.
just helps them take.
but I like the idea
Yeah.
of
Well, it
them
makes them
having
feel
more.
like they're a part of it to where it feels like home again. Because
Yeah.
a lot of these older people, I mean, they've worked their whole life
Mm-hmm.
for the house they were in. And it's just like, boom.
Papa
all
Linda had
halfway.
a refrigerator. That was it.
Yeah.
Their whole house
Yeah.
has a refrigerator sitting in it.
Yeah.
And they're an older couple. They're 84 years
Yeah.
old. Two
Or
of
that
them.
little man that we're taking a camper to tomorrow, like it
Oh, she's
killed
so
me
excited
because I was
about it.
doing like the questionnaire and I was like, well, do you have any animals? Just so we're
Yeah.
prepared to know like what he needs. And he was like, well, I did, you know, but I lost her in the flood. And he had moved a car and he was going back for his car and his dog. And, you know, I mean, it just.
Maybe he needs the Cocker,
Animals-
free Cocker Spaniel. No, the free
The
poodle.
poodle.
He's a
Yeah.
poodle that we're trying
Well,
to
he's
place.
already be like, wait a minute.
Well, no, it would be good. He's a,
A
man.
poodle?
He's alone. It's a poodle. I'm determined to get this guy a dog.
I know.
You know,
I
or a
know.
cat at this point. But if,
Yeah.
if he
But that's your
likes dogs-
family, especially being a single elderly person.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know how my mama was with her dogs. Oh my lord,
Mhm.
when the day comes,
And he's
We might as
living
well.
alone.
I
It's
mean,
got to
it's-
be
it's-
going through this emotion. You know, I was talking earlier about Kathy and her emotion when she got put in that camper, and she finally said, "This is the first time I've really cried.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
in such a fight or flight mode that they haven't had a chance to even express their emotions."
Yeah.
And I think having that safe haven, having that, you know, let's just be real. It's one thing when you're single or even a couple in a camper. Then you put a mama and a dad, or just even a mom with 3 or 4 kids in a small space. They none have their own rooms to go to anymore. They don't have their game stations. They don't have anything that keeps them occupied that they kind of did in their home. Can you imagine
it's hard.
after about a week how look at Bethany? She's like, "Oh my goodness."
I'm just thinking when they're out of school, you know. I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, because their
But
kids are
that's
not
a
in school
lot.
today. That that was
That's
something.
huge.
I'm not a big fan of just like sticking them in games all the time. But I think that's something that we need to put out there too.
or even like those little Roku sticks, because
Yeah.
most of the campsites that we have these people at, or they'll have service of some type. You could stick that in any pretty much older flat
That's a good
screen
idea.
And
or
like some
whatever,
free
for
subscriptions of like
Netflix,
something,
Yeah.
or something
just
for movies,
even
Yeah.
better than games, because I'm not a big
Disney or
game
something
mom,
to
but
keep the kids happy.
Yeah.
Something.
something.
We've got to think of something like that for the families because they do, other than sitting and dwelling on what's missing,
Right.
and the sadness and it's so hard when a parent is all this stress on them, then your child's
And
there,
at
there's not
Christmas,
stuff to
yeah,
do.
and at Christmas, and I know gifts aren't. That's not what Christmas is about. But as a parent myself, like I know when I was pretty much like single mom there for a hot minute, I wanted to make Christmas magical, and I hung Christmas lights all down my hallway and put snowflakes, and it wasn't the best gifts or whatever, but it made it feel Christmassy,
Mhm.
and I know all these parents, I mean,
Yeah.
they're starting from scratch and they're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
Christmas, and they hear all the other kids talking about Santa coming,
Yeah.
Make it special for them too.
Well, and one of my thoughts on that, and I think we all agreed that it's great to say we adopt their family. Okay. But I really feel, after talking to some, that they don't want to be adopted because they're already a family, but they want to feel like
They
give
can
them
go
the
buy a present for their kid.
humility
Yeah.
back, or they it makes them feel like I can do this for my child. It's one thing
Yeah.
if I go buy for your kid, and I'm sorry, I don't know the size of underwear your child wears or their
Right.
socks and all that.
But it's
And I have people
different.
reaching out to me saying, I want to adopt a family. Could you find out their sizes? And I'm like, I'm just now trying to get people still, in campers. It's not that I don't want to help do that.
Right.
That takes a lot of time,
lot.
and then you're gonna have to go shop for every little thing. Then you're gonna have to get it back to me. Then I have to get it back to that exact
Yes.
family. But then, wouldn't it be better, if your child already has?
Well, it makes you
this,
feel
this,
good
this,
because
and this.
a lot of these families aren't families that ask for help on a
No.
regular
Yeah.
basis.
They're not.
So, getting to go to Walmart or wherever and say, hey, I get to Christmas shop for my kids. I know how much I've personally been there, done that before. I know how that's like a big blessing, to be able to just say, oh, I went shopping for my kids today. I get to wrap those presents.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know them the best.
Don't you start
Yeah.
crying
Oh my
either.
God.
Now she's
I've
gonna
been crying
cry.
all the time.
Hey, you're next,
No,
Shadana.
I'm not gonna look at her.
But yeah,
But it is. It's nice. And that's why I say, it's nice for people to give things. And we'll make sure that they get some. But to actually have that wrap for your kid.
And I get it. The world I'm just going to be real. A lot of people look at the way the world is that, you can't give anybody anything because they're not going to spend it on what's right. No, there are those people out there.
Well, there's certain families
But let me just tell
that
you,
we know that would use it correctly.
we vetted them. At this point, we recognize those who are truly affected. We know
Yeah.
who they are. And
they don't ask
no,
for
they
anything.
don't.
Mm-mm.
No.
They don't. Now, in this whole deal, I have had, it's been a struggle in the vetting process of the people reaching out that's like, well, I'm not really a flood victim, but I still don't have a place to live. That's been my hard part. My heart goes out to the homeless too. But then when you don't have a camper to put them, even if you gave them a camper, they don't have land.
Yeah.
It's been really difficult. So there have been some that I've put up in different hotels. I've tried to keep the ones that's more family, you know what I mean, for the situation. But there has been certain individuals that's been homeless that I still will help. It's not that I don't have a heart for them, but they were already homeless before the flood. And it I don't mean it bad, but they were like used to living that way.
Yeah.
When you've got 80-year-olds that were used to living in a house, and now they have the traumatic experience of running out, water rising, lost everything.
Yeah.
So I don't mean that it's good for
Urgency.
anybody to
It's
live
just-
outside.
Well, I
But
think
it's been
that's
different.
a hard job that you've had to do.
I don't
It's
want
hard.
that anymore. That one's
No.
the
Yeah,
hardest.
is like prioritizing who needs.
You don't
There's
ever
been
wanna
days
have
I
to
didn't even want
choose.
to come in because I was like, Lord, soften my heart, because I was seeing so much of not even the people that were just homeless, but the see it, you need it kind of deal. Like
Yes.
they'll come in and they'll look around,
Oh,
and I'm like, these are for people who's lost everything,
Yeah.
not, and it's hard to not get bitter, but you just have to pray and, let God take control and soften your heart again and to
Yeah.
clear,
Discernment.
give me
You're good.
discernment, give me vision
Yeah.
of who needs this.
well, you said that in your Tuesday video. I remember you saying that in your Tuesday video because I had somebody message me needing money for propane or gas or whatever it was. And I just remember you saying, like, God's given us this gift, like, you decide, like, how, and it made a big impact on me because as I've had people or seen comments, or you know how it is, you get on Facebook and you just want to save everyone. My husband keeps telling me he can't save everyone.
Yeah.
Mine too.
I'm like,
Same.
are you sure we can?
Yeah.
But that has been important for me because I'm seeing how a lot of times it has to be that direct of a donation. It has to be a Venmo right now so that their family has gas. And yeah, it might feel weird and just listening to how you feel about it, but sometimes those are people who really, they are struggling and they need help. And I sent some money to somebody and they instantly were like, hey, here's what I have to give. We have extras of this. Like, can I give this? And do you know of a family who needs this? And that was when I was like, I'm glad I listened, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like people are doing their very best and we need to just trust.
Yeah. You do. And that's the thing. You get tired in
Yeah.
this, and y'all
Yeah.
know it. Not just physically tired, that's one. You get emotionally tired.
Yes.
You get spiritually tired.
And
And
you
there-
have to recognize, you have to be like, whoa.
I'm tired. At this
Like,
moment.
because it could ruin it there could be someone walking the door that really needs help and you're in that mode.
Yeah.
You can't be in that mode. And you have to be like, whoa, I need to.
Well,
check
some people's
myself,
like, well, when you're spiritually tired, that just means you're not trusting God. No, spiritually tired is
No.
when you're trying to pray and use your discernment so to the point that you're tired.
Yeah.
That's your spiritual
It
side.
makes
Your
you
spiritual
physically
check.
exhausted.
Yeah, I noticed. I'm trying to figure that out. And how do you do that? How do you know when you're like, okay, I need to take a break? What does that look like for you
Well,
after so
This
many?
is something years ago.
Literally, when my hand's about to pop off and I'm about to take
for a
someone
break.
out, I'm
Well,
like, oh, Bethany, you're
for
being-
me-
you're being-
I need more coffee. No, for me, I know when I don't think clearly. Like
Mm.
it's hard for me to make a decision.
Mm.
You know, I'd be like, I'm just gonna take a break, and I went out and sat in my car.
We
Mr.
found
Jerry
hiding
just
spots
told me
before.
about that.
Yeah.
He said sometimes Miss Angie will just go and drive around.
Actually, you want to know the truth? I get on the forklift. I've learned to
Yeah.
drive through the phone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've learned to drive it,
Yeah.
but I love it because you kind of feel like you're on a motorcycle, but you're not.
But at the same
can
time,
move there,
she's
right?
on the phone and talking to somebody
I
and
know.
driving, and then the watch is going too, and she's like, "Hey, can you move that? Hey, I'm going over here."
Yeah, that's the
It doesn't
that's the
stop.
part of being ADHD. You know,
To
God
going
allows
home
me
to your family, because the thing I found, like, for one, it's biblical. I mean, it's God. No, I'm
Come
good.
on.
I'm in there. They
Regardless,
see me. They're
just
seeing
sit
me.
down.
No, I'm good. I feel better standing up. I'm sitting down.
Yeah, she knows that
Milana.
I just look like we grow 5
Yeah.
down.
No, but is God comes first, your husband and your family.
Yeah.
That's your biggest ministry. Like, your first ministry starts at home. So if your home unit isn't good, then where are you going to come back home to revamp and be like, oh, I'm in my safe place?
Yeah.
I got called on that early. My husband, he was like, Shelby, I need you to stop because our babies need you to not be.
Yeah, because
You
she has
know?
a 2 and a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot.
That's
But
even
it's
harder
hard
when they're
because
little.
when you're
They don't
not
understand,
here, you feel
you
like
know.
you should be.
You feel
It's
guilty.
very
I'm bad
hard.
about just being on like the
I mean,
Facebook and
and-
trying to connect people. And
Yeah.
I've had to be like, I am not going to touch my phone. I'm going to
Yeah.
be with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
kids because it's just so hard.
It is.
It
hard.
is. The whole
Someday
Moana
I'm gonna
movie
get
this
to
morning,
it.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is us in the center. It's a disaster island, and she
Oh, I haven't got to
connects
see the new one.
people. Oh, it's so
Yes.
good.
Okay,
It's a
but
little
were you
documentary,
just saying? She said that you were at the movie, and she said, "But I can't sit there while my brain's going."
I said I have to go.
I was
with my
like,
brain
Mom's
is
gonna
calm.
see this movie, and she's gonna like, oh,
Yeah.
it's our situation.
Yeah.
I was connecting the two, and I was like,
See, you
yes.
already connecting it.
Yeah.
That's me. I love to go. If I go, I have to be, for one, I can't go in a store or somewhere where you know everybody. And that makes
Yeah.
There was 3 other people in the theater with me,
that's good.
and I'm glad because I
So to
laughed
go.
really loud.
Yeah, you laugh
Hey, hey.
really loud. I love Hey Hey. That Hey Hey's me.
Boat snack.
But I need to. You've got to have a mental break at some point.
Yeah.
Now mine is my recliner when everybody's asleep at night, and I can sit and be calm, and I get my fuzzy blanket, and my animals are right there. Okay, that's a calm part for me. But sometimes it is just going out in my car.
Yeah.